What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning into this video. As the title of the video says, today we'll be taking a look at Janet Light Neon Graffiti. This is the new upcoming rider hero to be entering the TC in the upcoming one, and she will be the roulette hero, as opposed to Rick Light, who will be the primary hero that essentially you'll be using those splendid steels on to upgrade his weapons. So in terms of that, Janet will be much easier to obtain for the average player and for those, I guess, on both ends, spenders and non-spenders. When taking a look at her kit, she offers a few unique things that, if I'm correct on how the behavior stands, will actually be pretty overpowered, just in terms of like who we have for support currently. And I think will shine in the rally support section of things. I think that in the field she will also shine, but particularly there's a few instances here where parts of her kit, I believe, will be able to stand out first and foremost. So, without further ado, let's dive into it real quick here. Taking a look at the first skill, Paint Bomb, her rage skill. We have a rage requirement of 1,000. Deals damage to the target and reduces the target's skill damage by 15% for 3 seconds. If your squad size is less than 50%, additionally reduces the target's AoE skills by 15% as well. Now, a couple things here is that, for one, this obviously primarily would target something like a ranged garrison, which offers the AoE through things like Ethan or Louis, that kind of a thing. However, we have seen plenty now with infantry, like even myself. We use Ethan on garrison for the AoE factor, for the multi-rally, and for the anti-swarm protection. However, also, if we take a look at Rick Light, for example, Rick Light is going to be entering, and although we're not going to be talking about him, really looks like he's going to be utilized and has been created to pair with Chasey on Garrison. And one of the main perks that he provides is that with his basic attacks here, when not in a rally, basic attacks have a 20% chance to deal damage once to up to 3 nearby enemies. So essentially his Transcended or Awakened skill and Transcended will be offering an AoE portion of the skill itself, while also providing through his Rage skill the ability to proc additional basic attacks. So now all of a sudden your Rider Garrison, when paired with Rick, or your Rider Garrison if using Ethan prior to Rick coming out, will also be triggering AoE. And so it seems like Janet also offers the ability to reduce that skill damage not only from direct, but through the AoE as well, which would be this Awakened or Transcended skill that Rick provides. And then, of course, like I made mention, everybody and all of us that are using Ethan as a support on Garrison for his squad defense and the double AoE, we will also be feeling that as well. So it definitely impacts all troop types in terms of like this AoE reduction. But it's just kind of funny that she's bringing out an AoE reduction just as riders are getting an AoE essentially ability that would be primarily helping the Chasey garrisons as well. So it's kind of like it's like its own kryptonite almost. So Rick seems like he's going to do well, and then Janet's going to be trying to slow that down a bit, if per se. So that is Paint Bomb. Moving on to Frantic Graffiti. Now this to me is an interesting skill, because if this does what I believe it's going to do, this is going to make things very interesting. So let's look at it first, right? So enters the graffiti state for 5 seconds before the leader uses the rage skill. While in this state, each time skill damage is dealt, there's a 100% chance to deal additional damage to the current target and up to 2 other nearby characters. So it'll do about 66% of the damage to the current target of the damage that it would deal to 2 other nearby characters as well. So it looks like there's a little bit more of an emphasis on the nearby AoE targets that it would hit. However, it also does some additional damage to the primary too. This additional damage will not trigger graffiti again, and the state will expire after being triggered 5 times. Now, how does this behave, right? Because there's some confusion, I believe, in the community, and a lot of questions that I've seen on Discord and direct messages that I have received as well, as to how I believe that this is going to behave. And we've kind of covered this in my stream, and in my community Discord, we've also discussed this as well on what we think this means and how this is going to behave. So we have a couple things here, right? So let's break this down. There's a few components to look at. So first and foremost, enters the graffiti state for 5 seconds before the leader uses the rage skill. So to me, from a coding and programming standpoint, what's going to happen is that you're going to have your march here. This is we'll call it your rider march or your rider rally, right? We'll leave that with an R. And then the rage skill is then going to say, hey self, or, you know, march that I'm in that has Janet in it, I'm about to use my leader rage skill. So let's just say that she is paired with Rubina, for example, in a rally. It's going to go here and it's going to say, hey, Rubina, are you currently in a graffiti state? And we'll use graffiti as G, right? And it's either going to say yes or no, right? It's going to say one thing or the other. Because what it wants to do is it wants to use this, or wants to put you in a graffiti state before the leader uses a rage skill. So Rubina is going to use her, or going to go to use her rage skill, and the game, or Janet is going to go, hey, Rubina, are you currently in a graffiti state? If you're not, then we need to make graffiti is true, right? We need you to be in a graffiti state. If it is, if you are currently in a graffiti state, how many more triggers do we need before that goes to no, right? Because once we get it to no and you're not in that state, we need you to get you to an active graffiti state. So what would happen here is that she would be support. Rubina would go to use her. So here's Rubina fighting a tower, right? This is my GoFundMe tower. She's hitting the tower. She goes to use her rage skill, right? And if she is currently in a graffiti state, nothing's going to happen. It'll just essentially keep graffiti on until she has dealt rage, or until she has dealt skill damage, because it doesn't say what kind of skill damage. It just says each time that skill damage is dealt, meaning that if she's currently in a graffiti state and doesn't need to reapply it, then Janet is actually going to deal additional damage. So she's going to use her skill damage here, and then that skill damage is going to proc this as well and remove one of those 5 stacks. So if it's currently in a graffiti state, nothing is going to happen. However, if it's not in a graffiti state, then what it's going to do before Rubina uses her graffiti skill is it's going to make it in a graffiti state. Then Rubina is going to use her graffiti state, and we're going to go from 5 stacks to at least 4 stacks, right? Because Rubina, it's going to use it beforehand, and Rubina is going to deal skill damage. Now here's where we go into the second part where this is interesting, right? It says that each time that skill damage is dealt, you're going to have a 100% chance when fully transcended, when fully awakened, to deal additional damage. Now, what rider heroes do we have that deal multiple instances of skill damage over a period of time? I'll give you a hint. It's Rubina, who has, when not garrison, a 60% chance to deal bonus damage to the target, which is skill damage here, damage factor, 1 to 5 times, right? We have Rubina. We have Elena, who deals skill damage every second for 3 seconds, skill damage. And we also have Felix. Basic attack steal damage, or bonus damage, skill damage for the next 5 seconds. On top of that, if I'm not mistaken, I actually just thought of this, but May, right here, deals scorch damage to 2 enemies in a fan-shaped skill damage and reduces their travel speed for 3 seconds. Every second for 3 seconds. So May, Rubina, Felix, and Elena, all of them deal skill damage every second for 3 to 5 seconds. And what happens here is that every time skill damage is dealt, you will deal additional damage to that target and AoE around it. So what happens is that Rubina on a rally is going to deal damage for the next 1 to 5 seconds, because it says 1 to 5 instances of damage that she's going to do. It doesn't really say there, but 1 to 5 instances of damage. And each of those instances of damage, Janet, we'll call her J here because she's graffiti, J with her graffiti is going to take that damage and increase it, right? She's going to deal bonus damage with her second skill. And each time that procs and uses one of those 5 graffiti stacks, you're going to go from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. Then once you're at 0, you're going to be at no. I'm not currently in a graffiti state. And the next time that Rubina goes to use her rage skill in that pair, it's going to ask the same query. Hey, Rubina, are you currently in graffiti? Yes or no? The answer is going to be no. It's going to put you back into a graffiti state, and you're going to deal the additional damage all over again. So the thing is that if you're not pairing Janet with a hero that is continuously doing skill damage, whether it be from their primary skill, or if you have somebody, I'm just going to use Jonathan here, but like a basic attack has an additional or 20% chance to deal skill damage. If they don't have a passive skill that is also dealing or has a chance to deal skill damage, anything that is basically incrementally dealing skill damage, then it may take you longer to leave a graffiti state. So you could be resetting your graffiti state every 5 to 7 seconds when paired with someone like Rubina or Elena, that kind of a thing that uses up all 5 stacks within 5 seconds or has the chance to. Or you could be resetting it every 20 seconds if the only skill damage that you're doing is the rage skills on both heroes, right? If rage skills proc every 6 seconds, then at 18 seconds, you would have used 6 rage skills from the leader and support. And then at that point, since that's your 5 instances of skill damage, then it would then reset. And then on your fourth set of rage skills that you're going to use or 4th proc, then at that point, you would re-enter graffiti. So it's really going to tailor, I think, the second skill around the heroes that deal skill damage on a consistently fast basis. So in the field, I would assume, or I would expect you to pair Janet with someone like May, with someone like Elena, or like with someone like Felix, where these are field dominant rider heroes that are dealing skill damage on a very rapid basis, and that damage is now all of a sudden being amplified. And not only that, but then each instance of damage that it's doing is also applying AoE damage around you. So now all of a sudden you're just spamming AoE on rallies. This is where I think Janet is going to shine, is that since Rubina is going to be dealing repeated skill damage with her primary skill, now all of a sudden you're dealing, it amplifies that damage passively, and it turns what is essentially primarily a single target rally into a multi-rally or into a multi-target threat. So you could be hitting targets that are in the field, or if you're a counter rally, you could possibly be hitting 2 rallies instead of just 1 with the AoE. It's not like a significant amount of damage per se, but it's all of a sudden a threat and capability for riders that we have not had up to this point. So I think that Janet with this second skill actually brings a lot to the table that we have not seen, and I think is going to be very unique, and I'm very curious to see how this plays out, because if this does play out the way that I think it does, I think that riders are going to turn a new leaf to essentially the level of threat that they have and make them even more of a target at this point, because you're going to need to do that. I think that a Rubina Janet rally is going to be the new primary rally for riders. And like I said, for field, your Felixes, your Mays, and your Elenas are going to pair extremely well with her also. Now, with Rick, since he does have, when not in a rally, a chance to deal additional basic attacks, and then when not in a rally, those also have a chance to then apply AoE. Since these are additional instances of skill damage, since it's the basic attacks that deal bonus damage for 5 seconds, this will also be a huge pair in the field as well. Your Ricks and your Janets will be huge. Rick is going to be dealing skill damage every time he does a basic attack, with a chance to deal even an additional basic attack, and each one of those basic attacks dealing skill damage is then applying this additional damage bonus plus AoE at that point. So that to me is just, that's disgusting. So this hero looks phenomenal for existing rider hero or rider players. If you're in the field using Felix, Elena, or May currently, or looking forward to using Rick in the future. And then for the rider rally players, your Rubina Janets also look like a major threat as well. And again, we're going to see how that plays out, but I think you're gonna like what you see too. Third skill, Rainbow Slide, rider attack by 35%, and travel speed increases by 20%. Totally fine here. That 35% attack is just going to scale all forms of damage that they have, along whether it be the basic attacks or the skill damage that's being dealt. Rider HP increase by 30% is massive for riders, since they do already have a high base HP. When leading only rider squads, increases damage reduction by 10%, so it provides another level of survivability. So all in all, Janet is extremely viable and extremely I would say a great champion just in general, or champion, a great hero. What am I playing? League of Legends. A great hero to have in your kit. I think that she offers a lot of the same things that are already offered for rider heroes, which is a high attack base set in terms of her stats and high offensive capabilities, but she also does bring the survivability of HP and damage reduction. You don't see any defense on this hero, but honestly, that's not really of concern at all, because you have Daryl who provides rider defense, and then you also have Elena who provides rider defense at 30%. But other than that, there isn't actually a single other rider hero that actually offers defense at all. So I mean, like Chasey doesn't, your Bella doesn't, your Felix doesn't. So I mean, all in all, like, it's honestly totally fine. that that's not a part of the kit, because survivability comes in many different forms and sizes. You could either be taking in less damage through more defense, you could be surviving more attacks with more HP, you could be decreasing the overall damage you take through damage reduction, or you could just be absolutely shredding your target. If your enemy target's march is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, that means they're dealing less and less damage to you. Same thing if you're hitting a garrison, that kind of a thing. If their troops are shrinking, their troop size or squad size or rally size is shrinking, that means they're dealing less damage. So damage sustain and survivability comes in a lot of forms, and the fact that she offers so much offensive capabilities, I think, is also a big part of her kit in terms of her survivability and impact. So again, I think that everybody is going to enjoy this hero a lot. I wanted to keep this at 15 minutes, and we're actually at that point. So if you guys have any questions or concerns about this hero, please let me know. We don't really need to take a look at her skill tree because she offers the same skills, general and rider talent tree that we see with many other ones, as is already. So just copy your other trees. I, again, would just essentially look at this hero as someone that stands behind or supports like Rick, Elena, May, or Felix in the field, or Rubina's in a rally. So again, at that point, counts aren't too important. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please feel free to drop that in a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Also, guys, I have been doing streams consistently, as a lot of people have seen. We're actually going to be doing quite a few events with those. One of the events that we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a community refinery opening event. So one of the fun things that we actually did on my stream here just a couple days ago, that we ran a poll in the stream, and it got very positive responses, and that they want to see again, is that I am taking people's accounts through the account entrustment feature and going into refinery and essentially taking your smithing materials, and we're playing this almost like a Counter-Strike Go case opening. If you're familiar to any case openings, if you've opened any like Pokemon or like Magic the Gathering cards, there's always like a gamble to it, and it's always kind of suspenseful to see like what kind of pulls you get and stuff. So what we did is we had about 4 or 5 accounts during the stream where we went into it with account entrustment, and we just opened them up to see what kind of pulls we were getting, and there were some very, very funny moments and highlights that came out of that, and the community as a whole seemed to enjoy that time that we were on the live stream doing that. So we're actually going to be turning that into a weekly thing. Based on the vote that happened, the majority voted for Fridays. So Fridays, we will go on ahead and do that as part of the stream. There was a large majority that also voted for Saturdays on that, so we may rotate the schedule. Keep an eye on the community Discord that we have, and I can show you that here. Let me go ahead and pull up the Discord. So this right here is what is known as the Knowledge Syndicate Discord. Basically, this is my Discord channel for my community that I have on this game. We have a welcome channel that you can see all the members that are joining. These members have joined today. We have a general chat where we can just talk about anything, game guidance discussions where you can ask questions like we've discussed the new rider heroes as well as part of the discussion process. We've covered refinery, just anything that you may need to have questions on in terms of game guidance we can discuss here. I'm happy to pin instances of knowledge or things that the community has that may be, valuable to other players in here as well. There's also a video and live stream topic request channel where you can actually go into here, you can create a post, and in that post you can do a live stream or a full video request or both. And just like this video that you're seeing, I can turn that video request and title and idea that you submit into a full-length video or just something to cover in the live stream. And so that's one way that you can help guide this channel and dictate what content we're bringing out. A link to this Discord will be linked down below in the channel, or in this video description, where you can go there and join the channel. Once you join, you'll go into this rules channel here. You'll click this green check mark to validate and verify that you have read the rules and that you are okay and you agree to being civilized and enjoying the community with us. So come chat Doomsday. You also get notifications in here when I go live on my live streams and when I post videos like this. So don't miss those. Again, I have started streaming recently, and one of the big parts that comes with that is actually a Twitch channel. So here I've actually started my Z Doomsday Twitch channel, Z_Doomsday. Again, a link to this will be in the description below. I just started this channel this week as a potential way to introduce me streaming other games. I may introduce it to the Twitch channel first before we pivot to YouTube to having multi-game streams. And so if you want to have a chance at seeing those or just support the channel in another way and you have a Twitch channel, you can come here and follow my Twitch page. Again, that'll be in the video description. I have already already a couple people that have done it so far, but you can also, because of how well the stream has been doing, and you guys have had phenomenal support of the channel. Oh my goodness, we're already at 74 followers. Because of how fast this channel is growing, they've already put me into the affiliate program, so you can actually subscribe to support the channel for free if you have Amazon Prime, and you can subscribe with your Prime for free. We already have 2 subs, and we just got the status this morning, actually. So again, you guys are absolutely killing it. So that is all to cover in this video. Again, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys are an absolute huge part of my life. I have enjoyed making this content for this game because of you guys here in the community, and I cannot thank you enough. I look forward to next chapters with this channel, and what else this channel and content we can bring. And of course, with all the directions and things that we're doing, we're going to have you, the community, decide basically which way this channel goes and how you want to see it. So I thank you for doing that. Again, if you have not told anyone today, please hug a loved one. Tell them that you love them. Life is short. We don't know when things will happen. And so if you have the opportunity today to wake up and put a smile on someone's face and tell them you love them, I say go do it. Love you guys so much. Peace out. See you in the next one.